Good morning students once again. In the previous video class, we had stopped at the concept of base year and current year. Now let us consider in brief what about base year and a current year concept. As I've already told you, index number indicates the relative change. Relative change is nothing but proportionate change. In what proportion the things have changed. That's what will be spoken by index numbers. So to observe relative change, we need base year and current year. Base year in the sense previously what it was. As I've given you the example of a notebook price, in 2015 it was 15 rupees and in 2020 it is 20 rupees. In that case, 2020 will be referred to as current year and 2015 will be referred to as base year. So current year is ongoing year and base year will be the previous year, previous time. Okay. The definition of base year: the year selected for comparison is called as the base year, and the year for which comparisons are required will be called as current year. What do you mean by base year and current year? It may be a 1 mark or 2 mark questions. The year selected for comparison is called as base year, and the year for which comparisons are required will be called as current year. For example, the same example and extension if it is to be taken, 2015 the cost of a notebook was 15 rupees and in 2020 the cost is 20 rupees. We wanted to observe relative change. What has been taken in the price level changes we want to observe. For which year we are observing? In 2020 we will observe what is the relative change from 2015. Am I correct? So for which year comparisons are required? Comparison is required for 2020 with 2015. So comparison is being made on 2015 to 2020. So the year selected for comparison is 2015. With 2015 we are comparing. For which we are comparing? For which year we are comparing? For 2020 we are comparing. That's why the year selected for the comparison will be called as base year, and the year for which comparison will be required will be called as current year. In the concepts to come, or in other words, the whole chapter, we will be speaking continuously on these two topics: base year and current year. Base year and current year. Try to understand the concept very well. Pay attention. If any time it's needed, rewind once again the videos and try to listen to if need be. Okay. The main types of index numbers are, as I've already told you, price index numbers, quantity index numbers, value index numbers. Earlier we had seen types of index numbers to be simple and composite index numbers also. But mainly index number study will be of types price index numbers, quantity index numbers and value index numbers. You know already index numbers, what it is? Relative changes of variable or a group of variables over a period of time it will indicate. So that over a period of time, an indication, if it is based on relative changes on price, it will be called as price index number. If that relative changes is based on quantities consumed or quantity used, then it will be quantity index numbers. If it is based on the value or the expenditure, relative change on the expenditure, if it is based on, it will be called as value index numbers. With small example, if it is to be told, as I have said you, the notebook example, what is the price change in 2015 to 2020? Price change, if you are observing, it will be called as price index numbers. How many notebooks were used earlier by a student, and now how many notebooks are being used? In the sense, 2015, how many notebooks were being used? In 2020, how many notebooks are being used? If that is being studied, then it will be quantity index numbers. For example, like, the expenditure in terms of how many quantities and how many prices. For example, 15 rupees per notebook and 2 notebooks were being used in 2015, for example. What will be the value or what will be the expenditure? Per notebook 15 rupees and 2 notebooks. Total is 30 rupees. Price multiplied by quantity. That means 15 multiplied by 2 will be is equal to 30 rupees. And now in 2020, it may be like, 3 notebooks are being used. Per notebook, what is the cost in 2020? It is 20 rupees. And 3 notebooks are being used. Price is 20 rupees. Quantity is being used is 3 notebooks. So what is the value? What is the expenditure? 20 multiplied by 3 is equal to 60 rupees. That means price multiplied by quantity is equal to value or a expenditure. So now 60 rupees it is. Earlier it was 30 rupees. Exactly like, doubled. Exactly doubled what we are making. The statement is the index number. Relative changes, what it will speak about, that itself is index number. So if we are speaking about an expenditure, or on the basis of expenditure from base year to current year, relative change has been observed, then it will be called as value index number. Hope you are following me, students. So in detail, if we are observing those price, quantity and the value index numbers, or if it is to be defined, in what way it can be defined, we shall observe. As I've already told you roughly, like, in the previous slide, the same will be there in a textual language. The index numbers, look at the cursor, the index numbers which measure the general change or relative changes in the prices of articles or commodities whatsoever, or items also. So general change or a relative change in the prices of articles in the current period as compared to that of base period. Prices of the commodities or prices of the articles are being compared in the current year compared to the base year. Then it will be called as price index numbers. It is denoted by P in the subscript 01. Try to understand this notation, because throughout chapter we will be using all these notations. Now onwards we will start using notations. Look at the cursor, it is being given capital P 01. This 01 is subscript to capital P. What is meant by this 01 is, 0 means base year, 1 means current year. So this is indicating you P01. This is the price index number in current year. Look at the cursor, in current year as compared to base year. Price index number in current year as compared to base year. That's why P01 is being indicated for price index numbers. Fine. Next, in the same way, quantity and Value index numbers also, it will be like, in place of prices, quantities consumed if you use, it will become quantity index numbers. In place of here prices, what we have written, if it is an expenditure or the value is being substituted, it will become value index number. Let's see what way it can be defined. Or before that, the price index numbers will have the bifurcation of wholesale price index number, retail price index number. These two words are quite familiar to our day-to-day basis life. Wholesale price index number, retail price index number. Wholesale and retail day-to-day basis we will be using most of the times. Retail in the sense, the prices which will be applicable nearby our home, whichever the shops will be there he will be selling the items on the basis of retail values. Wholesale in the sense, from manufacturer, the vendor who takes, he gives in bulk the items, where wholesale price will be applicable. This I need not explain to you students. You know what is wholesale and retail. Fine. In terms of price index number, when we speak, whether that price is wholesale price or a retail price, that question arises. That's why, price index numbers has been broadly classified into wholesale price index number and retail price index number. In terms of wholesale price index number, we will consider wholesale prices of articles or commodities or items. In terms of retail price index number, when we are calculating, we will consider prices of, retail prices of articles or commodities or items. Next, quantity index numbers. As I've already mentioned you, what is quantity index number? The quantity index numbers which measures the relative change in the volume or a quantity. How much volume it is used, or how many quantities, how much quantity of goods or items produced. If it is in terms of production viewpoint, how much is produced or how many is produced, what volume is produced, we will be observing. It may be manufactured, consumed or distributed. See, in terms of goods productions, items production, we can think in three ways. How many are produced? How many are being used? That means how many are consumed? How many are distributed? How many are given? In all those three stages, manufacturing, consuming and distributing, we will speak about how many goods, how much quantity, all those aspects. That's why, it's given in bracket, the quantity of goods produced, that after producing, it may be manufactured, consumed or distributed. Fine. So without bracket, let us understand now. Quantity of goods produced are called as quantity index numbers. That means relative change in the quantity of goods produced are called as quantity index numbers. If you are getting confused with bracket and non-bracket aspects and all, in the previous slide what I have explained, you can recall. Let me tell once again that if relative changes are being observed in terms of quantity of goods used or manufactured, then it will be called as quantity index numbers. It is simple. Don't get confused. It is denoted by Q01. Capital Q is nothing but quantity. 01, as I have already mentioned, in case of price index number, same will hold good even in terms of quantity index numbers. Earlier we had written capital P01. What was it indicating? Price in current year compared to base year. In similar way, now quantity index number we are speaking. Q, capital Q, 01 is a subscript to it. What it will indicate is quantity index number in current year. First 0, 1 it is given, no? 1 means current year. In current year as compared to base year, look at the cursor. In current year as compared to base year. Based on quantities it is, that's why quantity index numbers. Let us concentrate on value index number. The same way, wherever price or quantities we used to write, there if it is being substituted value or expenditure, it will become value index numbers. Fine. Value index numbers study the relative change. Here also relative changes over the period of time, but on the basis of total monetary value or total expenditure of a production or a transaction. If it is considered, then it will become value index number. Value, look at the cursor, value or expenditure is being given in bracket price multiplied by quantity. That's usual common knowledge of ours. An expenditure, how it will be calculated, price multiplied by quantity. In the example which I have taken, notebook and other aspects, I had already told you in 2015, 15 rupees was the price of a notebook and 2 were being consumed. 2 were being used. 2 is the quantity, 15 is the price. Expenditure, what it was, total price 30 rupees. How did you calculate? 15 multiplied by 2. Didn't you calculate price multiplied by quantity over there? Yes. So price multiplied by quantity will be value. So to put in a nutshell, value index number is nothing but relative changes will be observed in terms of total monetary value in current year from base year. Hope you are understanding, students. It's denoted by V01. How price index number was being denoted? Capital P01. How quantity index number was being denoted? Capital Q01. And here value index numbers are being denoted by capital V01. V is nothing but value index number. As usual, how I have already told you, 01 in the sense in current year. Again, I'm asking you to concentrate on the cursor. In current year as compared to base year, the value, that's why it is value index number. Next concept will be price, quantity and value relatives. This concept we shall take up in the next video class to come. So in this particular class, what all we have understood? Base year we studied, current year we studied, and then types of index number on the basis of simple index number and composite index number we had studied. Simple index number is nothing but the index number constructed based on a single variable. Composite index number in the sense the index number which is constructed on the basis of group of related variables. That also we studied, and later we came across price, quantity and value index numbers. If index number is constructed based on the relative changes of price, it will be called as price index number, which is being denoted by P01. And if the index number is constructed on the basis of quantities consumed or quantities manufactured, then it will be called as quantity index number, which was denoted by Q01. And later, based on expenditure also we studied the index numbers, relative changes on the expenditure or the value if it is being studied, it will be called as value index number, and which will be denoted by V01. In the next class, we shall concentrate on price, quantity and value relatives. Take care, students. Keep studying, keep doing your practice. Thank you so much.